Welcome once again on the Inspiration Zone with me, Singh. And thank you everyone out there for your great support through Twitter, social media, and your great letters of support. Today we are very fortunate to have with us Scott Mallon from Stanford Warriors, Essex, who will be talking to us about the topic of discussion today, self-defense. Scott, thank you very much for coming down today.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Excellent. So Scott, let's start from the top. Please tell me and the people about some of the great fitness and jiu-jitsu qualifications you have acquired over the years, please.
Well, myself, I'm a second dan black belt jiu-jitsu. I'm an MMA instructor. I'm a national instructor for control and restraint. I'm a self-defense level 5 instructor internationally.
Brilliant. Excellent.
The list goes on. But the real inspiration behind all of this, and the person who is Stanford Warriors, is my dad. Now, Brian Mallon is 7th Dan in Jiu-Jitsu, and he is probably one of the most inspirational people that we know. So yeah, that's where it all starts, and the peer-head behind Stanford Warriors is Brian Mallon.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you, Scott. So, Scott, how did this great organisation, Stanford Warriors, form? I mean, please tell me the great history around this organisation, please.
Again, I think it comes back to. I'm going to bore you now. I'm going to talk about my dad for the next
it's
half
fine.
an hour.
No. Oh, he's a legend, mate. He's a legend.
Without a shadow of a doubt. For years now, I suppose, nearly 40 years, one way or another, he's been involved in jiu-jitsu.
40 years?
40
Wow.
years. So I'm 40 years old, so yeah, it's got to be 40.
So he's basically born with it, yeah?
Absolutely, born into it. But his ethos, his drive, his passion has always been to help people, to be involved in something. And he found, after football, the world of jiu-jitsu. He led through. He's just climbed the towers along with the British Jiu-Jitsu Association, which is the governing body. He's now on the executive committee for the British Jiu-Jitsu Association governing body, which is a massive achievement. And he started it. He saw what he wanted to do from jiu-jitsu. He saw what he wanted, what his outline needed to be. So he rewrote the jiu-jitsu syllabus to specifically cater and help children, adults, young adults, people with special needs.
So Scott, the jiu-jitsu organisation actually because of his experience, allowed him to change the syllabuses.
Absolutely.
Wow.
There's a core syllabus that runs through the British Jiu-Jitsu Association governing body, and my dad, with his background, his knowledge, and his understanding, I think, is probably the best words I can use for how the mechanics of the body works, how the mind would work, and how he would change and adapt a martial art that's so traditional in its orientation to come into play. And he's done that. He's built since 2000. Where he started with 6 students in the dojo that I very first started at.
6 students?
6 students he started with, and that was in 2000, so 16 years ago. He started on his own, started the words Stanford Warriors, which was just a club in its beginning, and him and my mum, Gillian Mallon, aka the boss. They built it from 6 students to now we are the largest southern association in jiu-jitsu in England.
Wow, amazing.
With over
from 6 students?
6 students to over 600.
600 students now you have?
Yeah, and that's just Stanford Warriors students, which is a phenomenal feat and task. It doesn't even incorporate the people who have started and moved away and gone on to other things, and how he's affected their lives and changed their lives and given them a skill or multiple skills to go on and continue in their path.
Brilliant, because like I mean, you said mind and body. I mean, jiu-jitsu isn't just about physicality; it's about mentality as well. And your father has contributed towards making that syllabus designed so that the people, the students, are both physically and mentally learning the art of jiu-jitsu.
Oh, but it goes without saying. You know, the mind. We could talk for days about the mind and how it works in self-defense, jiu-jitsu, and any other martial art. When attacked, it's the mind. It freezes, it works, it doesn't work. It's a whole orientation. You need to train the mind as well as the body in order to succeed in what we're doing. But when we do this, we understand that it isn't just about martial arts and self-defense. It's about people's attitudes, confidence, building their whole self, inner feelings, inner understandings of how they are emotional, what they would do in life. One of the success stories that we get is when a child comes in and he's probably the most nervous student you will ever get. Shy, doesn't want to do it, you know, cries religiously when his mum and dad throw him in the door. And then a year later you find out that they're the lead in the school play. And you know and understand that martial arts and the way that the jiu-jitsu and the mind has been manipulated, if you like, into such a self-confident person.
That's contributed.
Has contributed in a massive way.
Excellent. Thank you, Scott. If you've just joined us, you listen to the Inspiration Zone on Gateway 97.8, and today we are very privileged to have with us Scott Mallon, representing the Stanford Warriors in Essex. So, with yourself, Scott, I mean, you said you had the influence of your father, and you joined the Jiu-Jitsu empire from 6 students to 600 today. Personally, why did you decide to walk the road of self-defense?
I suppose I was pushed into it not pushed. I think pushed is the wrong word. I wanted to be my dad. I wanted to follow my dad. You know,
Good.
at the end of the day, he's I suppose the best way I can put it, my mentor. And at the early age, you know, I was boxing. I was doing things with gloves on with my dad in the living room, and you know, he'd come home. I was 2, 3, 4 years old, which is where I first started. And then I took a break and went off and decided that football was my passion, was my goal. So I moved away from it. But always got taught in the back garden self-defense by my dad, because he said you're not going out in the world without knowing this, that, and the other. So on a regular basis, you know, we'd continue and I'd continue learning. So although I didn't walk through the classes, I went off and I still learned self-defense with my dad. But then football finished, and I was looking for something. Something in my life was lost. I couldn't. You know, I liked the banter of the football changing rooms. I liked the togetherness of
teamwork,
the teamwork, the whole social side of it, alongside the fitness, and I needed to find something to sort of get me back on the swing of things. So I spoke to my dad, and he said, "Well, you know, give it a go, come back in," and that was 9 years ago now. So for 9 years, I've been walking the path, and you know, although I started back and I was already a certain level, like I said to my dad, I don't accept it. I'll start again. So I went all the way back to white belt.
Wow.
And started again, which is difficult when, you know, you're thinking, oh, I could get there faster. But for me, it's never been about what belt I can get. It's about the journey I can take to get there.
Amazing. And that's important. That's important, because if you follow the journey, the belt will happen itself. Yeah. Well, once you get that mindset and you think of the journey you're doing, the belt's still like your second degree black belt now, and you said you started a white belt again.
You know, it's about a belt just holds your trousers up at the end of the day. That's what it does. When you're walking out on the street, no one knows what belt you are.
Exactly.
No one cares what belt you are. You can either defend yourself or you can't. So at the end of the day, it's about understanding what you're looking to do, how you're looking to do it, being the best that you possibly can. And unfortunately, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and it needs to be right. but we'll get on to the how perfect self-defence is not, I think, a little bit later.
Okay, cool. Okay, Scott, I mean, I can relate to that, Scott, because when during my childhood, me and my brother had a bit of a rough childhood. We were brought up in Canning Town. We were the only Asians in the whole area.
Yeah.
That meant that obviously we were constantly bullied in school. Our windows were smashed. You know, we had quite a rough time for the first 13 years of our life. Then what happened was, Scott, at the age of 13, my uncle came round one day and he said to us, right, come on, put your tracksuits on. I said to my dad, go and get him tracksuits. Dad said, where are they going? And he said, they're going to go and learn a self-defence class.
Yeah.
And my dad was, that's going to cost money and this and that. And my mum said, Mum looked at us and Mum knew what we'd been through. And she said, no, they're going to go. Yeah. My dad, being stubborn as he was, he said, no, I'm not going to get you no tracksuits, but you can go. So me and my brother went to this first self-defence class wearing jeans, right? And the first thing they made us do was the splits. So I saw my brother and he just ripped all his jeans up, and he got told off for that when he got home. But the point of the story is that at the age of 13, because I was too busy trying to stay alive, I couldn't read or write. But when I started this self-defence class, it changed. My discipline changed. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to read more. I mean, my mum always used to say to me, clean up the house, do this and do that. And I never used to bother. But as soon as I started respecting the dojo, cleaning the mats up, picking the mats up, brushing the floor, and running around the block bare feet. I mean, our Sensei was tough, but then it woke us up. It made us think, mindset change. And I remember one day when I was at home and I got the broom and I started sweeping the floor. Mum said, are you okay now? You're worrying me. You're worrying me now. And I said, no, Mum, it's what we do in the dojo. And if what we do in the dojo, and I want to do at home. And my brother was the same. And spectacularly, only 3 weeks ago, I'm at home and the kitchen's got a bit of rubbish on the floor. I saw without asking him to do it, I saw my boy Josh, who also is part of the Stanford Warriors empire, picked the brush up and he started sweeping the floor. And I went and hugged him. He goes, Dad, what are you doing? I said, well done.
Yeah,
I said, who asked you to do that? He goes, well, Dad, no, it's just part of life. He's 12 years old. And that to me is spectacular. And that is the magic. I mean, people out there with young children who want to inspire their children with discipline should make their children a part of the Stanford Warriors, because you guys are well established. As you said, your father's been in this business now for over 40 years. So to round it up, what parents out there listening with young children, what would your advice be? Why should they enroll or get their children to join the empire of Stanford Warriors?
I think you used the word earlier, inspire. I think that's what we look to do. All of our coaches have got something in their background, one way, shape or form, and we can draw from experience. You can draw from what's happened to you, what you've seen, how you've helped other people, and we look to inspire the next generation, because without the next generation, Stanford Warriors stops. And at the moment, we're the largest association in the south to the southeast of England, and with that, we need to keep it going. We want to grow. We want the message to get across to absolutely everybody. So it's the word that we used earlier is inspire. If you want your children to be inspired, if you want them to learn something that is not, we're not talking about how to fight. We need to get that straight. It's not about how to fight. Respect, understanding, discipline, belief, self-confidence, walking so that their shoulders are tall instead of head down. Look people in the eye, understand that they are somebody as opposed to a nobody. Bullying goes on in every single school, in every single year, whether they're 4 years old or whether they're 18 years old. It even happens in workplaces, in adults.
That's right. Yeah,
it's something that needs a self-confidence. And when people say, "Well, if you don't bully me, it'll bully somebody else," yeah, they will, but make sure it's not you. So life is about yourself. Life is what you make of it. So give your child the start that they need. Give that child the tools to set them up in life, not just in martial arts. And this is not what we're talking about. Everybody just jump on the JiuJitsu bandwagon. what we're saying is use your skill sets, give them the tools that they need to survive in the world, and the confidence to grow and just go out there and do anything that they aspire to be.
Excellent, brilliant. You've heard it here on the Inspiration Zone. Scott Mallon from Stanford Warriors in Essex. If you want to inspire your children, get in contact. Get in contact with the Stanford Warriors. Scott, have you got an email or a website, please? You can share.
Yeah, the website. We'd love people to come and have a look. It's www.brianmallonjujitsu.co.uk.
Okay, excellent. So, for the tools for life, if you want to give your children the tools for life, get them inspired, contact Stanford Warriors. Now, you spoke a bit about body posture earlier, Scott. I remember in the 80s when I first started my first competitions, I met someone who wasn't quite established then, a lady by the name of Runa Khan.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman has gone on to win many international competitions since then. Yeah. And I'll never forget what she said to me. She said to me, learning any form of self-defense automatically creates excellent body posture and prevents future illnesses, backaches, because my posture was bad. I was bad, man. I was like a typical teenager, man. And I couldn't understand the importance of this. I never forgot this, and this is one of the reasons why still today I do my katas, I do my kicks, I do my punches, I'm training. I mean, what's your view on this, Scott?
I totally agree. A healthy mind, a healthy body. If you are continually working, if you're continually developing your mind and your body, illnesses, backaches, regular stretching, regular training, it helps. You know, the benefits from it are phenomenal. A project that we did, which is one of our more inspirational projects, was dealing with a cerebral palsy student, and his body posture at the time when we started, young lad's name was Oliver, and I put him on a 6-week course.
Okay.
3 times a week, an hour each time. We developed his body posture, the ability for him to run.
Wow.
The ability for him to move, the ability for him to actually be able to defend himself in some kind of form, which we weren't too bothered about the self-defense side. It was just the mechanics and the movements of his body. I now know that Oliver took part in his first school sports day,
wow,
whereas he hadn't, and unfortunately for him, because he wanted to run, he ran to school, fell down the curb and broke his leg. So unfortunately he never got to succeed in what he did. But the ability for him to go from sitting in a chair, not wanting to do anything, to run into school is just phenomenal.
That's a big movement. That's massive.
Unbelievable. And there's a video on YouTube. If you go on and find Scott Mallon and type in Oliver, you'll see his transformation. It's just unbelievable for the boy. It's a work of art. He's brilliant. He's just insane.
And that's 3 times a week?
He did 3 times a week. The course and project finished for him, and he moved off into. He actually moved away, so we didn't get much of a chance to continue to work with him. But we set him up. He set his goals out, and I understand that he's still doing everything he's supposed to be doing. Amazing. So we're really, really pleased. Amazing.
So JiuJitsu helped this kid develop himself and pushed him to a different level. Yep. So thank you, Scott, for that, and thank you, Runa, because I've never forgot that, because ever since my boy and girl have grown up, I've always taught them body posture. The main thing was I wanted to get him to some sort of self-defense. Yep. And having looked around the area, I found that Stanford Warriors was the best school my children could go to. And what happens is, Scott, I'll tell you what, sometimes when I go out to parties and that, I mean, my boy's not perfect, no one's perfect out there, but when he's sitting with his cousins and that, and you look at them, they're 12, 13 and that, and just like me, like slouched and down, and I look at Josh, and Josh his chest is out, and that's because the discipline he has learned from JiuJitsu and from you guys. So thank you very much.
No problem, man. Pleasure. That's what we do it for.
Okay, so Scott, I'm sitting here, right, and I'm thinking, I've passed it. It's too late.
Uh-huh.
I can't start no self-defence class now. I'm in my 30s and my 40s, man. You know, I've done it. I ain't going to get nowhere. What's your advice on this, Scott?
Well, I'm 40 and I'm still doing it, and I train 5 days a week. To go on to the Super Bowl that happened last night, you know, Peyton Manning, 39 years old, was in a Super Bowl World Championship and he's just won it.
Wow.
So there's no right age, there's no wrong age. We cater for everybody. It's not an age thing, you know. Age doesn't depict who's going to get attacked. Age is not relevant. Age is in your mind. If you want to train, there are ways that we adapt the syllabus. There are ways that we adapt the fitness levels and the fitness workings for the senior ages, myself included. You know, I'm over 40 now, so it's a case that you have to take care of your body. And with injuries that I've received earlier in my life from football and stuff, that you have to take care in stretching and we cater for absolutely everybody. So if we had a 47-year-old guy turn up 6 weeks ago. He started. We had an 18-year-old boy 10 weeks ago. He started.
Brilliant.
And our oldest student at the moment is my dad, who is currently still training, I might add. About to go in for a knee-op, but he's still training and still teaching. And he's 67.
Amazing.
So there's no age restrictions.
So there you go. You've heard it on the Inspiration Zone from Scott Mallon. There is no age restriction. Before starting any self-defense or training program, if you have any health issues, please contact your GP, please, and check with them to see if you can begin a self-defense or training program. Otherwise, there is no limit. As my guest today, Scott Mallon, has said, it's all in the mind. Thank you very much for that, Scott. You're listening to the Inspiration Zone with me, Jag Singh, on Gateway 97.8. So everyone out there, please contact Stanford Warriors for their expert advice and training. Scott, can I please have the website again, please, sir?
Yeah, it's www.brianmallonjujitsu.co.uk. But if you type in Stanford Warriors in Google, it will come up anyway.
Perfect, brilliant. Thank you, Scott. So, Scott, another question I've got for you is, what age should a child begin jiu-jitsu in your professional opinion? What's the best age for them to start?
I mean, everybody's different. Everybody from different martial arts has a different age range. We like to start children from 4 years old. It gives them an understanding.
4 years old?
At 4 years old. We work on their core skills from 4 years old. So it's not about understanding that a wrist grab and things like this. What it's about is, again, working the body mechanics, getting them to have that little bit of self-confidence, the jumping, the straight line running, the forward rolls, the break falls, all of the different bits that are the fun bits for the kids. And it's, at the end of the day, it's not just about self-defense, it's about everybody having a little bit of fun as well. And if the kid doesn't walk out with a smile on their face, then we haven't done our job properly. So yeah, 4 years old for us to get their basic knowledge of, you know, just screaming no as loud as possible and doing a forward roll and running and diving around and just having some fun.
Excellent, brilliant. I mean, because I started when I was 13, as I said before.
Yeah.
If I could go back in time, would I have wanted to start early? Yes, I would start early. Like you said, about 4 or 5 years old. So what I did was, when Josh and Alicia were born, I said to my missus, Emma, listen, they're going to start jiu-jitsu. And obviously Emma hadn't come from background of self-defense or anything. So she was, oh no, I don't think. And I said to her, Emma, this would be good for both of the children. I remember, and it was you, when Alicia started when she was 5 years old, and it was you. Alicia had a second class with you.
That's right.
It was going back a few years, about 4 years. And she got smacked in the mouth, like you do in jiu-jitsu by an opponent. And she started to cry. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, that's my little baby. I wanted to go and hug her and say, but then you, very professionally, as she started with her little tears, walked towards you professionally got her hand and you turned her around and you took her back to the dojo. And within seconds, she was fine. It was amazing. And that, to me, was a great moment, because I thought, wait a minute, Now you're going to get hit, you're going to get kicked, it's going to happen, it's part of it. But you was very professional the way you handled it. I'm sure you've handled that many times before.
Yeah, it says once or twice, probably a week. At the end of the day, it's a contact sport, and it's a contact. When we do the sparring and this kind of thing, it's contact. You can't ask people to control themselves in such a manner, and they do, and they're very, very good at what they do. But mistakes get made, and it's contact. And if you are in the street or you're in the playground or someone pushes you, it's contact. And if you become used to contact, then you can react to contact. If you've never been hit or pushed before, but you've done all the techniques, there's a good chance that when you first get hit, then you're never going to be able to defend yourself. Now, the best person I can relay to that goes to boxing, and that was Mike Tyson.
Okay.
And everybody knows how good Mike Tyson was, and the guy could hit. But his whole explanation was this: everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Okay.
And there's no truer statement than that.
Okay.
Everybody has a plan. Everybody can stand in a dojo and practice. Until you actually get hit, you don't know how you're going to react. So if we can, and we're not saying that the children come and everyone gets hit, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of rules and there's a lot of control, and that kind of thing. But there's a lot of emphasis on real life. So we like the contact, we like hands-on, we like the fact that the children are learning from a very early age that there is a little bit of rough and tumble. Because some children are single children. They haven't got brothers or sisters to roll around and have a little dust up.
That's right.
With. So they don't get that involvement, and when they go to a school, it does become a little bit of I've just been bumped into, that kind of thing. But if they're used to a little bit of rough and tumble when they come to us, they're used to that when they go into school, and it elevates from there.
I'm smiling here, Scott, because I'm just thinking about Josh and Alicia at home. Man, they're like Tom and Jerry, man. I mean, Josh gets in his stance, and she's 8, and she gets in her stance, and it's like, you gonna turn that channel over or not? No, you turn the channel over, and you can see it just about to erupt. But like you're saying, they've got each other to bounce off. But there's many kids out there that are single, and so this learning the way of Jiu-Jitsu, Stanford Warriors, will bring out that confidence in school.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, Scott, I can relate to that because, I mean, one time I remember when a good friend of mine joined karate with me, kickboxing, Mogendu, with Sensei JiuJitsu. He came for a couple of lessons and he got punched, he got kicked a little bit. And then the second time it happened, the dad actually went to my sensei and said to him, I think your class is a bit rough and tough and my boy keeps getting hit and everything. And my sensei, he never took no... He just turned around and said to the dad, he said, listen, I'll tell you something, there's the door, go. That was it. And the weird thing is that 16 years later, this same boy came out of a train station and he was ambushed by 8 people. And when I went to see him in hospital, he wasn't in a good position, Scott. But when he left, I said to him, I said, listen, it's going to happen in self-defense. You're going to get a punch and a kick. And he said, no, but I can't. And when I went to see him in hospital, I'll never forget the words he said to me. He said to me, you was right. I should have never stopped self-defense or I wouldn't be lying here today.
I mean, fighting off 8 people's never going to happen.
No, of course not.
But what it might have done, it might have made him think about attacking him. His presence would have been different. His shoulders would have been back. He'd have been standing tall. And if they had attacked him, he may have found a way of fighting back so he can get an avenue to get away. Because at the end of the day, self-defense is about getting away. And if you can't get away, then you're ending up where your friend ended up.
Yeah, I mean, because Josh and Alicia have met a friend of mine and they've spoken to him, and he's told them this story, and he's told them, listen, I'll tell you one thing, he said, your dad was right, I should never given up, because like he said, Scott, I may not have been able to take 8 people, but you would have damn hit 3, I would have got 3 or 4 of them down and given them something to remember. He goes, and that is, and now he's children, and he's got his children, and guess what he's doing with them? Self-defense classes.
Exactly.
So out there, to everyone out there, if you want the good influence of Stanford Warriors, please contact them and enroll your kids, and let's get all, as Scott said earlier, let's inspire the next generation. Okay, so Scott, please tell me about another great venture you're also involved in, the Ultimate Fitness Sports Coaching, please.
Ultimate Fitness and Sports Coaching was built and developed to coincide with Stanford Warriors. It was a way of us developing in schools and understanding how behaviour management worked with children. So what UFSC tends to do is we go in, we look after I suppose you could call them the challenging children of the world. If they've been naughty, if they've misbehaved and they're continually upsetting classes, I'm the person that goes in, and the best way to put it is reintegrates them back into a social manner so that they can sit back in class. The best way I can describe it is when we first started this project with UFSC 8 years ago, we took a young lad on who was going to be arrested, I think is probably the best way. Him and his cronies were up to no good, robbing, not nice people basically. So I was asked by the school to come in and manage their discipline for them. We won't go into the details of how we do that, but that's
so that's something you do as well.
That's yeah,
brilliant.
we do discipline management, which is really cool. And these particular boys, pretty challenging, to a degree, but we managed to get to one out of the four who took us on board. He's now going for his adult black belt with Stanford Warriors.
Amazing.
He now works for me.
Really?
Because he understood by us showing him that being the person that he wasn't the right way to do it. Being the person that he is now, he's got friends, he's got a social life, he passed school, he's got all 9 GCSEs, he's at college. He works for me. It's a brilliant story.
So you've basically revolutionised and transformed this guy's life?
Yeah. We like to think so. And we're now in over 50 schools that we
50 schools
across the country that we offer these services to. Which is obviously where control and restraint comes into it, which I said earlier. I was national coach and instructor for control and restraint. And we go in, we bust gangs up. So if they're South East London, we'll go in and we'll give them different options, different ways of achieving goals in their lives. Don't be part of a gang, be part of us. Which then we sort of integrate them into JiuJitsu, which comes all the way back to Stanford Warriors. So like I said, at the moment we've got 600 members, but our affiliate members go to around about 25,000.
Wow,
across
amazing.
The country with UFSC and Stanford Warriors, which is just a phenomenal achievement. Not for me, because obviously it always goes back to one person, and the peerhead for the whole thing is Brian Mallon.
There you go, respect to Brian. So, Scott, if someone's out there still sitting there and a little bit dubious about joining Jiu-Jitsu and thinking, no, it's not for me, no, I'm not going to do that, or people thinking, no, it's not for my children,
Yep.
What values and attributes can learning the art of Jiu-Jitsu bring to anyone who wishes, just like yourself and your father and the rest of the team of Stanford Warriors, to dedicate to this great art of self-defence?
I think the best way I can put it is it caters for everybody. Age-wise, there is no age. It's 4 through to, well, as old as you can do it. I currently know that there's an 82-year-old guy in Newcastle currently going for his black belt. So I know that there's no age
How
limit.
old, sorry, Scott?
82.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
so we know that there's no age limit. It's for everybody. It just gives you something that might be missing. It gives you the ability to look after yourself. It gives you the ability to have self-confidence, to build your self-esteem, to look at what you're doing in your life, maybe make a few changes. It's partially fitness. It helps you stretch, bend. You like we said earlier about the illnesses and the you get a few injuries, which
Of course,
it's contact. That's what it's about. But it'll help you in the long run. To give you an idea, someone who joined a year and a half ago suffered with manic depression. Didn't want to get off the sofa, didn't want to do anything, and they were mid-30s. Only by a Facebook post that they'd seen, and they actually got themselves off of the sofa and walked through the door. That person has now far exceeded their expectations. They're bright, they're bubbly, they're outgoing, they're part of a social scene. It's just phenomenal. So it caters for everybody. There's no reason why anybody should fear it, because it's not the preconception of you walk in the room and everyone's going to beat you up, and if you're brand new, everyone sort of gets to punch you and that kind. It's not how it works. There's a way of structuring things so that when you come in, you're made to feel welcome. It's a friendly environment and atmosphere, as you know from your children.
Yeah, just about to say, I do.
And
it's like a friendly, like a family environment. I find,
and it all comes from that family background. And that's the key, I think, to why we've been so successful. My parents started it. To give you bore you with a quick brief history of the Mallons. My dad is a 7th Dan in Jiu-Jitsu,
Wow.
Brian Mallon. My mum, Gillian Mallon, she never got into it, but got to tell you, she's the boss. She does absolutely everything behind the scenes. And without her, I don't think my dad would have been able to get as far as he did, because he needed the support and the allowance to, because you're training quite a lot, and it's the understanding of where you're going. My older sister, Kerry Lee, she was the youngest 3rd Dan in the country.
Wow.
So she was a 3rd Dan.
How old was she when she 3rd Dan?
She was, hang on, I've got work, 16, 18, 21.
Wow, amazing.
21. So at the time when she took hers, she was the youngest in the country. I'm a 2nd Dan. I'll be going for my 3rd Dan in June this year. Good. And my younger sister, Bridie, is a 2nd Dan as well. But Brilliant. It doesn't stop there. My younger daughter, my daughter, Amy, she took her adult black belt in December.
Amazing.
So our generation of black belts within the Mallon family is quite spectacular, really.
Superb, and well done to you all. Yeah, Scott, I mean, I can relate to that, because I remember when, obviously I didn't start my self-defence until I was 13.
Yeah.
Until then, I was basically just sitting in my room, doing nothing, doodling about, getting involved with bad influences outside, to be honest with you. But once I got into the self-defence mode, I mean, man, there was a big transformation. I mean, I remember my mum, when she used to be, my mum's got a big kitchen in Upton Park, and she used to be cooking in the kitchen, and I used to be at the back doing my kicks and my punches, and my mum used to look at me and say, "Are you right? What are you doing? You're normally out, and you're doing things that, what's happening to you? You're worrying me." I said, "Mum, listen, I want to dedicate my life now to martial arts. I want to be part of this great thing." And I remember her cooking in the background, and bless her, love your food, Mum. And and me doing my kicks and my punches, and 13. I mean, my brother used to walk by me and say, "What are you doing? You're weird.
Yeah.
You should be. We should be out there, and that's not right." But and I mean, Scott, I used to train. I still do it today.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is, my children sitting in their baby chairs have seen me do that as they've grown up. So when they were 5 years old, 6 years old, do you want to start self-defence? Both of them put their hands up straight away.
Absolutely.
And going back to the confidence thing, I remember when I first started. Again, do martial arts. Yeah. I didn't have no confidence, and it was when the sensei used to say, "Right, you up, pull someone up," and the guy used to go up, and now the sensei's going to choose someone else now. My brother used to hide. He used to hide behind someone, and get down, and please don't choose us, please don't choose us. But within months of training, when there's going to be a sparring match going on, me and brother were sitting like this, right, come on, choose us.
Right at the front, wanting to be
Let's go.
That's it.
Let's go. And the transformation from being the hideout, the person who's hiding behind, so it was amazing. And we didn't care how big this guy was or girl was. We just were going to go in there and use our skills that had been taught.
That's it. That's exactly right, mate.
Okay, so Scott, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to say how I feel. I want you to give me your true and honest opinion. I must really get in trouble for this, but I think children today are spending more time on their iPad, PCs, computer games than self-defense. I mean, what's your opinion and view on this statement, Scott?
Well, it's where does the list start? It's an easy one to answer for me. It's okay for kids to play on PlayStations. It's okay to play on their Xboxes and whatever else, but there should be time limits. A child that alienates themselves from the world will sit in a room and do absolutely nothing but play on a computer game. Their lives become virtual. They live in a virtual world. They don't live in the real world. For me, it becomes, and a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but lazy parenting. At the end of the day, it's easier to put a tablet in front of your kid and say, off you go, than actually sit with your child and play with your child. Take your child to the park. Take your child to wherever they need to go, to classes, swimming, football, Jiu-Jitsu, whatever it is, to actually be out there and do. Too many children now live in a virtual world where they don't understand reality. We're gradually picking at some numbers, and slowly more children are coming from their virtual bedroom world.
That's what it is really, isn't it? Yeah.
And it is. They don't live in the real world. They live with a headset on. They play games that don't exist, that they think is real. Then they'll go and shoot up a school or something because someone's upset them, because that's what they've seen in their computer game. Go and live in the real world. Come and try different things. See what your body actually is physically able to do, rather than what the computer tells you it can do. Don't be that person that lives there and says, oh, Call of Duty this, FIFA that. Go and learn how to do it. Go and learn how to do martial arts. You know, if you want to be a ninja, go and learn how to be a ninja. Don't just sit and play ninja on a computer. If you want to be a footballer, don't just sit and play FIFA. Go over the park, get a football, put two coats down like we all used to do when we were kids. Over the park, put the coats down, make goals. You know, the other person on the other team, play a game of football. It's not rocket science. We grew up doing it, you know, and it becomes, for me, parents need to take more involvement in their lives, more involvement in that child. It's very easy to give them a tablet and keep them quiet. And yeah, it's the easiest thing in the world. But spend that little bit of time and you'll see a wonderful person behind achieving all sorts of different manner of things when they're given the opportunity to go and experience it in real life.
Amazing, excellent. I mean, you're right, Scott. But as a learning curve, technology is important today, and I understand that. So, fine, not a problem. Learn technology, that's fine. Learn the computers and everything. Then going back to my boy Josh at home, when he first got his iPad, he's sitting on it and he's enjoying himself. And 2 days later, I said to him, right, how long have you been on it? He said, I've only been on it for 30 minutes. And Alicia went, no, he hasn't, Dad. He's been on it for like 2 hours. Right, Put it away.
Exactly.
What, Dad? His face was like, what?
Yeah.
Put it away? I said, yeah. Put it away. Do press ups, sit ups. Oh no, I've got other things I can be doing upstairs, like homework. There you go. You've got homework to do, yeah? Put it away. Does his homework, comes back down. What are you doing now?
Yeah.
You've had your hour for today. But why should I be limited on what time I should go on it, he said. And now it's a habit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's become a habit now. You see him, he's drawing, he's writing, he's training, he's doing all sorts of different things. Technology is important, and like you're saying, Scott, people do need to learn it, but please, limits.
Absolutely, and the difference is, I mean, we'll go back on the self-defense bandwagon and say it's all wonderful having an iPad, but unless you get attacked and you've got the iPad in your hand and you want to hit them over the head with the iPad, that's about the only way technology is going to help you in self-defense.
That's right.
You need to actually experience it for yourself. You need to be able to do what you need to be able to do. And the only way to do that is not sitting on an iPad. It's attending classes.
Perfect. So you kids out there, okay, go on your iPads, go on your games, but obviously Get your parents to contact Stanford Warriors and do your back falls and your front falls, and that is what will make you an inspiring individual and human being. So Scott, once again, if anybody wants to join your great Jiu-Jitsu organisation, Stanford Warriors, or receive fitness advice, please can you repeat the website?
It's www.brianmallonjujitsu.co.uk, or just type in Stanford Warriors in Google and he'll come up number one.
Perfect, excellent. And if there's any schools or any organisations who need to speak to Ultimate Fitness Sports Coaching for some advice or some struggles they're having, please get a website.
Absolutely. It's www.ufsc.co.uk. Thank
you very much, Scott. Okay, yeah, so Scott, over the last 5-6 years, I mean, I've seen you, your father Brian, Steve Calder, Claire Lang, Jill, and many other of the senseis train my children, Josh and Alicia. And your passion for jiu-jitsu is very highly illuminated. I mean, where do you guys get this energy from, man?
I think it just comes from helping people. It's the best way you can put it. It's knowing that every single day someone's going to come in and you get a chance to help them. You get a chance to, in some way, shape or form, make a slight change in their life. Give them that little boost, give them that little energy. I mean, a lot of people don't realise, and they think that the minute their children come to class and class finishes, they think that's the life of a coach over. What they don't see is when we all go home, and I know this for a fact because when you talk to the other guys like Steve and Claire and my dad, we talk about our students. We talk about, oh, they were a little bit off today. I wonder why they were a little bit off today. Well, I hope they're okay. And then you start looking the deeper depths into the relationships you've got with your students, because they're not just people who turn up for that hour. They become part of you and your association.
Like a family.
Absolutely. And you want to do your best to help them. So maybe what we did on the week one, and then we can move on, and then we'll talk to them and we'll help them. And it's a constant evolving situation with all of your students that gives us such a positive mindset that you're just out to help people and do the best that you possibly can for them. And hopefully that's what we're doing at the moment.
I mean, because what you're trying to say, Scott, it's not just about the students coming for the hour, they do the training and they've gone home and your job's done. What you're saying now, that's amazing to me. We actually, if you think there's something irregular about a student, you guys actually do take it on board.
We take it on board. Brilliant. We address it. We deal with it. We've got so many safeguarding things in place that, we don't just look at teaching the child. It isn't about that. It's about the whole ethos of them, their life, their family, and we like everybody to get involved, which is why we're so fortunate at Stanford Warriors that if we get a son or a daughter start, 9 times out of 10 the sibling will come, and 5 or 6 times out of 10 the parent will give it a go as well. So It becomes again another family thing for
involvement.
For us all.
The whole family gets involved.
Absolutely, yeah. That's how it works for us.
Superb. So Scott, let's talk about Jill. Right, you call her the boss.
Yeah.
Right now, every time I've been to a competition or jiu-jitsu, I see her. She's writing out receipts and giving out uniform. And I mean, why do you guys call her the boss? Please explain.
She's the one who pulls the strings. Within the world of jiu-jitsu, there's a lot more to running an organisation, especially the size that Stanford Warriors is now, than just being on the mat and doing the teaching. And my mum, Jill, does absolutely everything. She's the person you go to if you need an answer involving administration, if you want to know anything about equipment, if you need to know anything about Stanford Warriors. If she was sitting here now, she'd talk to you for about 10 hours, the ins and outs, and she'd have the rules, the regulations, and everything else that went alongside it. She's the contact with the British Jiu-Jitsu Association governing body. She is the peer head that basically reins my dad in when he needs to be reined in, and you know she's the calming influence and the sensible voice behind us all, because you know we all have our moments.
Of course,
it's wonderful. You know, we're in a contact environment, and she's the calming influence that says, well, you know, what happens if you do this, or you know, she doesn't get involved in the technicalities of it because, you know, actually being thrown around and throwing people around on a mat is not her cup of tea. But as a voice of reason, understanding and knowledge, I don't think there's many out there who are better.
Perfect. Scott?
Well, to tell you the truth, Jag, looking at the size of Stanford Warriors Association and how we've evolved from 6 students to over 600.
Amazing.
None of it would have been possible without the boss, Gillian Mallon, alongside, you know, my dad, Brian. You know, it's just the pair together are what makes Stanford Warriors work. You know, there's other organisations, there's other ways, there's other things, but those two together as a unique partnership are probably, you know, the best that there could ever be. One understands one side of the business, one understands the other side of the martial arts, and it's why it is such an empire, like you called it earlier. We've never used that word before, but
it is
empire all the same, and what a wonderful way for a legacy of my mum and dad, Brian and Jill, to have that opportunity to leave.
Perfect. If you've just joined us, you listen to the Inspiration Zone on Gateway 97.8. And my guest today is Scott Mallon from the Stanford Warriors, speaking about his experiences and knowledge. Scott, when I started training, one of the most important things my sensei ever taught me was the ki.
Yep.
The shout, the rage when you're doing a punch and a kick. And ever since my kids were small, young, I've been the ki. I want to hear from you the importance of the ki when training.
It's a great question. It's a great question. It's a development of expelling energy. It's about really sort of giving everything that you've got inside you and expelling it out. It's a vocalization of what you're feeling. It's a mindset of what you're thinking. It's getting the drive and the all you can call it is your ki inside you. It's what's inside you, and you're getting it out to give you that little bit extra, that little bit more determination, that little bit of heart, that little bit of grit and determination that we really try and give to everybody. So the kids, and I'll just run you into a quick story. We did at Josh's last grading, I'm sure he told you, where we had 125 kids on the mat, and to see the first ray off when they all rayed, to have 125 hands smash the mat, and then they all stood up. And it was like a scene from, if you remember, Enter the Dragon, when Bruce Lee walks across and through the old castle ruins, and there's 100,000 geese all standing there going ki, and when the kids in the grading stood up, the noise that reverberated around the hall was spine tingling.
Amazing.
So much so, and he won't thank me for saying it, actually brought a tear to my father's eye.
Oh, bless.
Because he couldn't believe what had been created, what was there, what it was all about, and to see and hear what we did, and he orchestrated that. That's come from him, and it's just a brilliant way. So that hopefully is where the ki comes into place.
Perfect, brilliant. So all the kids, when they got together and they shouted out the ki, it's like a unity, like a joint venture. I mean, people out there, who says one man can't make a difference? Of course you can. You can go out there and achieve anything you want. Brian has, Scott, my guest, has today, and so has Jill. You can make a difference. It just depends how bad you want to make that difference. Scott, I am now going to ask you the question I love to ask my guests on the Inspiration Zone. What keeps you going, man? I mean, where do you get your drive and motivation to do all the great work you do? How do you do it, man?
I think, like we said earlier, it comes down to inspiration. I was inspired years and years and years ago. So now it's a case of sort of trying to pass on that inspiration to others. You know, I'm lucky. I get to wake up every day and I get to teach kids how to defend themselves, how to create new lives, how to build their self-confidence, and there's no better drive than that. You know, that makes you bounce out of bed in the morning. And I know it's for a fact because another two of our senseis have now gone full-time as well.
Perfect.
So
Brilliant.
it's a case of loving what you do gives you it just makes you want to do it even more. You know, there isn't enough hours in the day for us to do it, you know, because we also get to act like kids, you know. We get to roll around on the mat and, you know, have fun with the kids, and we get to spar every day, and we just get to be a part of something massive, which is just a brilliant thing.
And that's what motivates you and keeps you going.
Without a doubt, you know.
Perfect.
And changing people's lives is just a phenomenal thing.
So, Scott, how do you see the future of the empire of Stanford Warriors and UFSC? I mean, how do you see the future, please?
It's an easy one, really. Jay, it's just the beginning for us. We're going to go from strength to strength.
Brilliant.
And it all starts from here. You know, our aim, our goal is to become the largest organisation in the UK for Jiu-Jitsu. We want to touch as many lives as humanly possible. We want to change as many lives. We want to inspire as many lives as humanly possible. You know, we've got classes opening up all the time. We've got new classes. We're spreading areas. The development of Stanford Warriors is just growing strength to strength to strength. It's just not going to stop. And whilst we've got students coming, whether that be 1 or 100, we'll keep going. For us, it's just about bringing to everybody what we know, learning as we go, because
that's important. That's important.
Well, everyone seems to think that the minute you get a black belt, you've made it.
Is that right?
In my terminologies, the minute you've got a black belt, you've just started to learn.
Brilliant. Excellent.
You never finish learning, and to probably finish on the best conversation that I probably can. My dad, Brian Mallon, 7th Dan, talking to Sensei Terry Parker, 10th Dan, Jiu-Jitsu. He's still learning.
Terry Parker.
Really?
Absolutely.
Legend.
Amazing. From one legend Brian and one legend Terry. Excellent.
Exactly.
Superb.